It was an amazing day. It started out feeling pretty crappy, just feeling very out of control, listless, lifeless, aimless, just wobbling and wandering and feeling like, what is it I believe in and why do I believe this shit? Because none of it is true. It's just, it's dumb, and finding all the reasons why, the things that everybody else doubts, why it's true. We have anecdotal evidence about why, God doesn't exist or how miracles don't happen and all that other stuff. And yet, we have a whole lot of supporting evidence that it does, that they do, that, this presence, this holiness, this deity, this dignity, this sacred, this spirituality, this something, this energy, this divine love exists. And I was listening to, because I've been feeling so out of sorts, just, like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm just feeling weird. And there's a lot of planetary movement at the moment. I've had to pull back a whole lot and just shrink my whole life down into something much more manageable and bite-sized than to look too closely at it. I just know that I'm feeling things and definitely feeling the, vacillating energies, and understanding that, the more that I can step away from having an opinion, having any kind of energy about it, that puts it out of balance immediately. And I was listening to Eckhart Tolle today, and he talked about that, dealing with gossip. When people are just straight up gossiping, and the nature of what they're saying is to, join our clique, join our club, join our, gang bang on this person for 5 minutes or the rest of their lives, or however long, we can have this power trip. Because that's really what gossiping is about, is just establishing an egoic position of why am I better, and let me explain the ways, let me count the ways, and, tick them off to whomever would sit and listen. Or we can at least be bouncing the idea back and forth by talking about how terrible they are. And so he mentions, in that not having an opinion, to be able to get very good at the third-party observer position, and also keep that position without taking a position, without picking a side. Stay in the neutral zone and do not take a side. Don't get involved in an opinion one way or another, and of course we do. We're human beings. We have opinions of things, and really, truthfully, keeping the mouth shut most of the time is really what's most valuable, honestly. And that's tough because I talk too much and give way too much information and blah, 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 way too much. And so that's been hard for me to not just hear myself talk. And so, step back from that, because people are allowed to think and do whatever they want to do. And my opinion, one way or another, may or may not elicit any change. A lot of times if people are dead set in their ways, it won't anyway, and it doesn't matter. They're not really going to hear my opinion or my position anyway. So, expressing my position, my stance, all of that, it's really unnecessary, unless someone asks, or unless there's, some sort of compelling reason, that it's going to change the fate of someone else or something, my life or whatever, to not open my mouth, then it's just best not to get involved, not to take a stance on the energy itself, not to take that emotional pull to get it out of balance, because peace and balance is really the most harmonious place. And if I start thinking about something and start having an opinion about its goodness or its badness, then that's going to take me away from that place of peace and calm and serene and bliss. It just is. Very rarely, whenever, I'm making an assessment of something from that egoic position, is that going to magically transform into something that feels better? That takes some work, and it takes, moving into that objective third person view to look at this and say, how can I hear this without getting emotionally charged, without getting emotionally tapped or tagged in some way that snags me back here with, getting hung up. And that's probably, I would say, 99.9% of the problems for the majority of the planet is for the planet, period, is that we move into the trauma and the tragedy of our life history, without even knowing it, without being conscious of what we're doing, because we're so patterned to do things a certain way. We learned to pattern our behavior a certain way, to get what we want, to manipulate, to push people around, to bully, to acquiesce, to do whatever we need to do to navigate life, whatever reason we're doing it, whatever the reason would be, whether it's a positive intention or a negative intention. Some people absolutely have nefarious intention everywhere they go and everything they do, and some people do nefarious type things without fully understanding that that's what they're doing. It's the intended conscious choosing that really comes into question and is most important. So consciously choosing to not choose that, consciously choose neutrality, is really where the greatest empowerment comes, and the greatest true speaking power happens, is choosing to remain neutral. Now, how do you remain neutral and use your voice in a way that can be heard, etc.? Well, don't use it. First of all, don't use it at all when it's going to be wasted and it's not necessary. It's a matter of, maybe just possibly hearing your own self speak. Then don't do it. What would be the point? Let's talk about what the benefit would be of expressing that. So, a good majority of them, probably 80 or 90%, can just be left in the quiet zone, left unread. Just nope, just don't even bother. And then by staying out of those emotional places where, politics can be a huge one, where people get very triggered and very, hell-bent because they're talking about their money, their ability to take care of themselves, their ability to meet their own needs. And that's how we created those damaging behaviors in the first place, is we were trying to figure out as children how to get our needs met in a highly dysfunctional world, and probably a highly dysfunctional family. We are a huge earth family of hugely dysfunctional people that have been growing new people into worse and worse toxicity, to the point that we made the shift now and we're into some newer energy. However, it's not necessarily comfortable, and it's not an easy transition, and there's going to be more ugly then there's going to be pretty before it's all over with. That's the way that rolls. 808. Unfortunately, that's the way that rolls. So even though I personally was feeling a little bit freaky and out of control today myself, hearing Eckhart Tolle, knowing that I prayed, because that's what I have retrained my brain to do, is go to that place of balance and being centered and ask for the help that is up here, that is there, because it's gotten you out of everything else when you've asked and really honed in and listened, because I know that's there, and it is reliable, and I have gotten good information from that, and it's consistently the same reverberations in my head of how to move forward. It's always with honesty with self and integrity, sacred intention, divinity, etc. It's always that at a baseline minimum, and it is never to take any kind of retaliatory behavior against someone else. 909 just passed. Never to take action against someone else, never to be hateful, never to be out of balance, because if I'm out of balance, then I'm setting up more of that has to be cleared out. Just clear it out now, stop it before it starts, and then we don't have to worry about that piling up with the rest of the garbage that's already piled up. We're taking out, tons of bags of garbage at a time, emptying out an entire, landfill over here in some respects. And so, we're taking out these and these and these. We certainly don't want to be adding, some new ones onto it. What? No, just don't even make that. That's not litter. That's a recycle and move that on. Yep, repurpose that and get that energy alchemized and moved on into something sweeter and better for everybody. Damn it, move it in that direction. And that's just a matter of training the mind, training the association with control and ego, and what makes me feel good, what makes me feel better, what do I think makes me feel better versus what actually makes me feel better. And for me personally, the thing that makes me feel much better is to get in touch with that God, Spirit, Jesus, Brahma, Allah, whomever it is, nature, whatever sacred is that people, whatever anybody else associates with, I don't care. I just know that my sacred, the very energy that is running this entire picture, not just me, is running the entire universe, got it all under control. When I tap into that, the doubt will go away if I continue to keep coming back. If as the doubt comes up, no, I just had evidence that nope, that's a false statement. Goodbye now. Goodbye. And keep telling it no, keep telling it no, even on the challenging days and even in the challenging ways. 11:11, it's a pain in the butt and it's exhausting sometimes, like, oh, when will this ever end, the doubt thing. And unfortunately though, as empathic people, we can often feel and pick up the energy of others. And so there's a whole lot of, wacky stuff happening on the planet at the moment. Not to mention, astrally, there's a lot going on in cosmology. And so the frequencies are changing. And oh yes, I just realized we're moving 1144. We're moving into the Sirius Stargate in just a couple of days, maybe a week or two. Will be the Sirius Stargate, and then the Lionsgate will come right after that, and it just rock and roll. We'll be rocking and rolling going into the new year, and every day after that we're stepping up, and moving this in a brand new direction that a lot of people are very confused, angry, upset. 1212, and because they're confused, they are angry and upset. They feel they're losing their sense of control. They're not losing their sense of control, they're losing their control. We all are. We all have to surrender. We do not have control over this. We do not have control over it. We do not have control over it. And that makes a lot of people very insta angry, like just creepy, crazy mad when we don't have control. And I understand that. However, I got what Eckhart Tolle was talking about not getting involved in picking a side one way or the other, because when we think we have control, we're picking our side. We're picking, I'm in charge, I know it's best for me, and I'll run this operation, which at my base level human, that's exactly how tight I feel about it. Yeah, I got this, I'm good, I'm all good, thanks. However, from a spiritual standpoint and from the next echelon of energy above me, I don't have any control over that. I yield that to the energy that runs me, if you will, that gives me life, that gives me breath, that gives me the sustenance to be here doing what I'm doing. I yield to that. And that is what is in charge. And I'm expected, as the operator of my avatar, my car, I'm expected to keep my car in working order and to, be available to drive and, etc. and to keep it moving and keep up the maintenance and keep up all kinds of, reporting about the car and all of that, licensure and everything. All of those things, my avatar, my human being, I'm required to keep up my human being and do all of the human being stuff. And I'm also required to listen to the, Uber driver ultimate, if you will, that runs my avatar. I'm not being roboted by a god from outer space. It's telling me 1414 what to do all day, every day of my life. I wish, in a way, I kind of wish. It would be great to be that lazy and, not have any thought. However, we have free will, we have free thought, and I'm very clear on that. So releasing and letting go is about letting go of that position of believing that I'm in power to begin with, or that I have an opinion about this. Having an opinion, having power, having a stance other than one that's deeply rooted in balance, it drove me crazy for the first 50 years of my life, and I'm so glad to be relieved of that complicating factor. Thank you, God. Thank you.